Hello, my name is Herman Caballeros, and I will be discussing the influence culture has on the development of self identity. Lev Vygotsky's theory of the zone of proximal development and the process of scaffolding suggests that one's culture plays a crucial role in an individual's cognitive development. He suggests that children are influenced by what he calls more knowledgeable others. These people are tasked with guiding new members and conditioning them to become productive, reflective, and self aware members of the cultural communities that they come from. Liederman and colleagues suggest that enculturation and socialization begin even before the child is born, supposing that during the gestation period, the infant gathers information about their culture through sounds, foods, and other things that their parent consumes. Other researchers have seconded this idea, suggesting that prenatal infants absorb and become attuned to the culture even from the parent's womb. Researchers have found that there are cross cultural differences in the way that children develop through stages, more specifically in the way that children develop sensory motor skills, social skills, and establish secure attachments through parenting styles. Studies find that in West Africa, some children develop subcategorical stages due to the lack of resources. These children are often found with more developed fine motor skills and dexterity because of the affordances they have available to them. These children don't have child appropriate toys, thus, they become more experienced at handling the tools that adults use at a very young age, strengthening their muscles and the neural links needed to acquire the level of skill that they have or that they need um, to handle these tools. Other studies find that factors such as parent responsiveness and parent attentiveness differs cross-culturally, and that children from Eastern countries experience more attentive attachment styles, reliable parents, and this enables the children to establish trust and feel safe, which affects how they progress throughout their development. Research from some of the most prominent theorists suggests that cognitive development occurs around the same time despite the differences in cultural principles, cultural practices, and values. Studies also posit that one's self identity derives from their group's ability to meet the needs of the individual and the culture's expectations of social standards. According to Vygotsky, enculturation is acquired through scaffolding, as I mentioned earlier. The elders of the group teach the children the do's and the don'ts of the culture, essentially providing them the guidelines for acceptance and the standard of living within the context of the group. The models serve as an example for how to behave and engage in the cultural norms through the participation and activities of that culture. In this way, the children are encouraged to follow the lead of their examples, fit in while staying true to their autonomy and self identity. Learning to socialize comes with being able to hold attention on specific tasks, participate in independent or group activities, and make observations about one's environment in order to adhere to the social norms of the group and be accepted. Studies found that children who come from middle class households are only able to focus on one thing at a time, limiting their ability to socialize or process information effectively in certain situations and settings. While research on Guatemalan children found that they had been groomed to focus on several tasks at a time for sustained periods of time, using their observational skills and the models in their environment. Self identity refers to how a person views themselves and whether this sense of self is in alignment with how other members of the group perceive them. In many Western cultures, children are encouraged to be autonomous and independent, with adults often assigning children tasks that require assistance to promote a sense of agency. While interdependent cultures focus on encouraging youth to follow traditions and maintain cultural values, by participating in group activities such as ceremonies, religious practices, and activities that help them establish a sense of cultural identity. The culture a person comes from impacts everything from the choices they make to where they're headed in life, which is why the cultural contexts matter. Identity derives from how a person aligns with the culture they come from and whether the culture accepts the individual as a member throughout the development. Cognitive development is not necessarily universal. This is due to the fact that each culture has their own motives, child rearing approaches, developmental goals, and preferences in the developmental outcomes of their children. Each culture creates its own demands and expectations for the individuals within the group, which provides non members with the ability to distinguish between members of the group and those who aren't. Each culture manages their children's development in their own ways. Even though there are many similarities in the parenting styles and developmental processes of the children themselves, the differences in attitudes, beliefs, and values of the group create the variations we see between different cultures. In conclusion, Vygotsky's theories presents how cultures support cognitive development and the development of self-identity through the relationships that are fostered through observation and activity, which allows children to actively learn from the models in their group. The many differences between cultures exacerbate development in particular areas of maturation, with some children achieving milestones earlier than others as a result of the social cultural context that they come from. With that stated, it should be noted that many of the fundamentals of cognitive development remain intact for the most part. Sense of self means different things to different groups, but to some extent, almost every culture emphasizes the importance of preserving their culture through identity, pushing members to represent the group's ideologies through every stage of their development. The following slides contain a list of references used for this research.